Morning, everyone. Come on in and have a seat, and we'll get started. Thank you for coming up to the front rows. I really appreciate that. Well, good morning, everyone, and congratulations on an outstanding year, actually. Pleased that we are at this time of the year, and I'm looking forward to convocation in June and to welcoming and congratulating all of our future-ready graduates. So that'll be a great time, and it'll be fun to be up on this stage. I understand we do it about 9 times, so it'll be a little tiring towards the end, but it's all good. So we're capping off what I think is a very strong year with a very good news budget for 2015-2016. And Karen Moore will take us through the details, and then Christine and Wayne and Deborah will talk about some of the investments that we're going to undertake in the coming year. But I just will offer one spoiler alert, and that is that there's no layoffs. And this year, Mohawk will be hiring faculty and staff. So delighted about that. One of my key priorities when I came into the college last August was to hire, of course, 2 new VPs to join Wayne and to round out our executive team, and I'm very pleased that Christine and Deborah joined the college and have led by example. I was really delighted with the process for this year's budget. It was absolutely collaboration all the way through, from working with the financial managers, the directors, in the different areas, right up through our help that we got and support we got from the finance department, to the decisions that were made right through to the board. So thank you. It was a great spirit of collaboration among our academic, student services, and corporate service areas. We took, I think, a very college-wide view. When you see the investments, I think they'll make sense to you, and you'll see what we're trying to do in terms of focusing on the student, on the academic area, making sure that we have great services available to our students in the coming year. 2 points about our budget, and then I'll ask Karen to take you through the details. First of all, I would say we are healthy, but we are not wealthy. So if you think about this in terms of your family finances, we have a small savings account, which we've built over some modest surpluses over the last few years, and we have a very hefty mortgage. So that's kind of our financial situation. So let me leave it there, and let me welcome Karen Moore to the podium, and she'll take you through the details of this year's budget.
Thank you, Ron. Good morning, everyone. The overview of the 2015-16 financial plan includes the budget components, budget planning process and monitoring, snapshot of the financial plan, key revenue assumptions accompanied by enrollment plans, key expense assumptions along with the full-time staff complement, investment strategies, and the capital budget. Our financial plan is comprised of 3 main components: the operating budget, which supports our academic delivery and non-academic operations, a fee-supported budget for services funded by student compulsory ancillary fees, and a capital budget, which supports equipment, renovations, and deferred maintenance. Each component starts with its own budget process and then leads to integration for the overall college financial plan. The budget planning process started in the fall. The board approved the budget directions outlining our processes, timelines, and key assumptions for the 3 main budget components. The academic areas prepared post-secondary and continuing education enrollment plans with oversight by the Strategic Enrollment Planning Committee. Contribution margin targets were determined for each academic school. In the non-academic area, the 2014-15 original budget was the starting point for budget development instead of the mid-year review projections. Compulsory ancillary fees were assessed to meet the service needs of students and submitted to the MSA for their consideration. And also during this time period, financial managers submitted capital equipment and project requests for review by the Capital Planning Committee. The review period started in January. Financial managers submitted operating investment proposals, which were prioritized by MEG in accordance with criteria in line with our strategic directions. Community and Training Solutions, International, Innovation and Research, and Ancillary Business Operations were independently reviewed with contribution targets. The Capital Planning Committee reviewed and prioritized all capital equipment and project requests. MEG reviewed the operating fee supported and capital budgets, and the board approved the tuition fee rates and fee supported budgets in February. Approvals in March and April include MEG's support of the operating and capital plans, which were communicated with management teams. We appreciate the full cooperation of staff during budget deliberations and meeting the timelines, because this led to a balanced financial plan that was approved by the board governors on April 8th. Now that the financial plan is approved by the board, we will transition into budget performance monitoring. This happens continually through the year, where we monitor budgets, adjust where required, forecast our year-end position, and report back to the board on our progress. Snapshot of the financial plan. It's balanced. The overall approach was to develop tuition fees. International fees for regular and deregulated programs will increase 3%, and there's no increase for the few differentiated programs. The overall CE rate increase is 3% per student contact hour. Compulsory ancillary fees, the post-secondary increase is 0.8% to $1,249.60 for one academic year. CE will remain flat at $1.91 per student contact hour, and the apprenticeship service fee will remain at $40 per intake. Now moving to the enrollment plans that drive our revenue. The total full-time domestic and international enrollments planned for 2015-16 is 26,895, excluding collaborative. Comparing spring and fall 2014 and winter 2015 audit counts to the 15-16 enrollment plan, the total increase is 1,237 enrollments, or 4.8%. The increases per term are shown on the slide. For domestic only, the full-time enrollments is 24,066. That's an increase of 1,036, or 4.5% higher. The total full-time international enrollments planned is 2,829, an increase of 201, or 7.6%. The collaborative program enrollments total 3,171, which represents a decrease of 75, or 2.3%. So the overall increase in post-secondary enrollments, including domestic, international, and collaborative, is 4%. And that's going to represent our stretch target. Post-secondary enrollments generate approximately $50 million, or 25% of our total revenue. Enrollments by term remain proportionately the same as in previous years. For 2015-16, summer represents 9%, fall 46%, and winter 45% of the total enrollments. For summer 2015, enrollments are planned to increase by 12%, or 273 enrollments. Over a 5-year period, summer enrollments have increased by 48%, fall by 16%, and winter by 18%. So it's demonstrating steady growth across all terms, with an increased emphasis on the summer term. Enrollments by faculty are generally trending upwards in a consistent fashion. The exception is interdisciplinary studies, whereby the English for Language Purposes, EAP program, transferred to the International Language and Culture Center. For 2015-16, the Faculty of Eng, Tech, Media, Entertainment are planning an overall increase of 7.5%, notably in the School of Chemical, Environment, and Biotech. The Business and Skills Trades faculty are planning an overall increase of 5.5%, particularly in Construction and Building Systems and the School of Industrial and Motive Power. So for 15-16, the purple bar to the right, total post-secondary enrollment is made up of business, 18%, engineering and media, 32%, community and urban studies, 22%, health sciences, 14%, skills, trade, and apprenticeship, 8%, and interdisciplinary studies, 4%. Continuing education revenue is measured by student contact hours, SCHs, and is split between in-class and online offerings. The total 15-16 plan calls for 870,000 SCHs, which translates into 8.4 million or 4% of our total gross revenue. The online or distance education delivery is projected to be flat, whereas the in-class delivery of CE is showing a slight increase of 1% in SCHs. So overall, the continuing education envelope is projected to see a modest increase of 1%, or roughly 6,000 SCHs. The apprenticeship seat plan, it's negotiated with the province. Overall, the apprenticeship plan generates approximately 7.9 million. The 14-15 year-end projection was approximately 113,000 training days, which is 3,300 more than our initial plan. The 2015-16 initial plan is budgeted at 116,992 training days. The plan does fluctuate during the year, and typically by year end, the training days are higher than the initial plan. On April 9th, the Premier announced that Ontario is investing more in apprenticeship training equipment and facilities. The per diem rate of $67.35 since we've had since 2008-09 will increase to $71.26. That's an increase of 6.8%. The financial impact will be captured in our first quarter review once further details are released by the government. This pie graph reveals the composition of our total expenditures for 15-16. Salary and benefits account for at least 62% of our total college expenditures. This allocation is approximately 1% higher than 14-15 due to temporary vacancies we had in 14-15, and the 15-16 budget includes negotiated rate increases and strategic investments in staffing. Other expense categories include insurance, financing charges, and amortization expense, 9% of the total, professional and contracted services, 8%, cost of goods sold, contingencies, and miscellaneous, 5%, and the remaining categories include supplies, utilities, maintenance, telecommunications, student award payments, travel, PD, and promotion. So our total expenses is $198.7 million, which is the same amount as the total revenue to achieve a balanced budget. Key expense assumptions. The full-time salary rate increases for faculty and support are in accordance with the respective collective agreements effective September 1st, 2014. For the approved full-time complement, the financial plan includes the rate increases, step increases on anniversary dates, and support staff special allowances. Administrative staff is in accordance with the broader public service wage freeze legislation. Fringe benefits will remain at the same level as 2014-15, full-time 25%, part-time 14%. Academic contribution margin targets. Post-secondary will remain at 42%. Continuing education is lowered from 46 to 45%, and apprenticeship is lowered from 30 to 28%. Again, for the non-academic areas, there were no across-the-board reduction targets. The initial base budget represented the 2014-15 original approved budget. The full-time staffing complement is 955 positions. The complement distribution is illustrated with the academic area, 631 positions, or 66% of the total complement. Corporate services, 182 positions, or 19%. Student services, 132 positions, or 14%. The president's area, which includes special events and communications, has 10 positions, or 1% of the total. The employee class split for the 955 positions is represented by faculty 44%, support 39%, and admin 17%. And this proportion is the same as the 2014-15 fiscal year. The contribution margins for each school are shown, 2013-14 actual, and the targets for 14-15 and 15-16. As part of the budget development process, the deans were involved in establishing the contribution margin targets for their schools, with the goal of achieving an overall target of 42%. In addition to maintaining this overall target, the targets for each faculty remain at the same rates as last year, with the exception of interdisciplinary studies, which again saw the move from EAP program to the International Language and Culture Center. Overall, the post-secondary academic area was successful in achieving an overall contribution margin of 43% for the 2013-14 fiscal year. Ancillary business operations plan to contribute $3.6 million, which is 24% of the total $15 million ancillary revenue, and their contributions plan to be higher by $300,000 than 14-15. Business development and retail, which includes campus stores, residence, food, and conference services, will contribute $1.6 million. Parking plans to contribute $2.3 million, and the debark operations are planning a $219,000 loss. Community and training solutions comprises employment programs, academic upgrading, school college works initiative, and federal programs. The net contribution is $1.7 million, representing 22% of total $7.9 million revenue. The contribution is planned for $200,000 higher than the 14-15 fiscal year. Innovation and research. The operating budget will support $598,000 net expense for administrative functions. Current initiatives include e-health, energy, medic, and additive manufacturing related projects, with primary funding from INSERC and FedDev. New projects may arise during the year, and that typically absorbs some of the administrative costs. The total investment request submitted by financial managers was $6.2 million, and the available pool is $3.2 million, which represents 52% of the total requested value. Last year, the available investment pool was $1.9 million. Again, the larger allocation this year is primarily attributable to the increase in the GPOG growth grant. The recommended investments are on the right. Academic, $1.8 million, or 57% of the total. These include investments in program quality and blended learning, academic hirings, internationalization, Center for Teaching and Learning, and applied research. Student services, $786,000, or 25% of the total, for the third phase of the Future Ready Processes Initiative, campus safety and sustainability, marketing, and accessibility support. Corporate services, $507,000, or 16% of the total, including investments in IT human resource processes and staffing support in HR, finance, and building facilities. President at $73,000, or 2%, for community relations. Overall, there was a net increase of 15 full-time permanent positions, netting 10 positions in academic, 3 in student services, and 2 in corporate services. The majority of the investments are one-time in nature, representing 80% of our total. The vice presidents will speak further to these investment strategies. Now we'll move to the capital plan. The total additions are valued at $16.2 million gross cost. Some highlights include campus renewal for $3.8 million for parking lot replacement to accommodate the transportation hub and other areas. Also starting phase 2 of the Stony Creek campus renewal. Facilities renewal college-wide, $4.1 million for primarily essential deferred maintenance items. Examples include replacement program for the main electrical substation and replacing our HVAC units. Facilities renewal academic of $1.2 million include the creation and upgrades of additional classroom and lab space, a testing center, in-community learning hub, and phase 2 of the Language Culture Center. Academic equipment of $1.6 million is for a number of academic programs across the college. Information technology academic for $2.6 million includes computer purchases, Microsoft student licensing agreement, increasing our high-density wireless, and additional smart classrooms. We have a capital provision specifically for AODA requirements and investments in corporate services and student services. Funding sources for the capital plan. The operating budget will support $6.1 million or 38% of the total capital plan. Funding of capital projects and equipment from external sources includes student levies, government capital grants, and donations from third parties. The Technology Enhancement Student Levy of $2.4 million is directed towards technology enhancements for students in the academic environment. The ministry capital grants include a funding envelope for deferred maintenance, $463,000, and academic equipment, $426,000. Donations totaling $802,000. That includes the MSA donation of $500,000 for the Stony Creek campus. Research of $596,000 is from FedDev for a multi-year energy project, and the funds will be used for academic equipment. The request for board reserve funding, that'll be after the completion of the year-end audit. Board reserves represent the accumulation of annual surpluses, and any spending for major capital initiatives requires approval by the board at the June meeting. So in conclusion, the 15-16 financial plan is balanced with the integration of the operating, fee-supported, and capital budget components. Overall, the budget planning process went smoothly with well-organized planning process and was inclusive of financial managers in evaluating their functions with full transparency. Operations are tied to the delivery of enrollment plans, and there are contingencies in the event we don't meet the enrollment targets. We have investments for college priorities from an investment pool. The fee-supported budgets have been accepted by MSA for post-secondary and CE student compulsory ancillary fees. The financial plan includes capital priorities in academic, IT, and facilities, plus there's continued investment in essential deferred maintenance items. So the college is positioning itself well with academic program prioritization and quality initiatives, growth in applied research and internationalization, student services future-ready processes, and corporate services delivery of quality facilities and technology support. Overall, the college is in a solid financial position. We are healthy with our net asset position, but as Ron said, by no means wealthy. We are at debt capacity with the significant building enhancements that are serving students well. The financial outlook will continue to require prudent use of our financial resources. So thank you for your support. Okay. Now Christine will speak to the academic priorities for the upcoming year.
Good morning. Thanks, Karen, for a very thorough overview, and thanks to you and your team for supporting us in the development of our budget. The academic budget in particular is quite complicated and the first one I've participated in, so I want to thank you for your extra time and support of us. This year's budget reflects a considerable investment for the academic area, totaling $1.8 million of the $3.2 million investment pool, or 57%. Emphasis this year will be made on program quality, including preparation for college-wide provincial accreditation and new program development. Program quality improvements will be made through a new course outline system and learning technologies, such as those to ensure our courses meet AODA specifications. Investments more specifically pertaining to blended learning will be made through increases in curriculum and in instructional design support. Strategies to support blended at the program level will be communicated through program review. A team teaching pilot will begin fall 2015, where the blended hour of a first-year comms course will be taught by two faculty, one from the Faculty of Interdisciplinary Studies and one subject matter expert from the program of study. We hope this strategy will increase retention in our first year's comms course by connecting the importance of communication to the actual program of study. A significant multi-year investment strategy is underway to support growth in international students. This includes support to increase enrollments to meet our target of 2,400 students, and support for the Language and Cultural Center, supporting students when they arrive. Strategies to support faculty and teaching in a culturally diverse setting will also be implemented. Investment will be made to increase apprenticeship seats by way of a dedicated one-year contract person to increase industry engagement. As Karen mentioned, 10 new positions have been approved for the academic area, including 3 academic faculty positions in the faculties of interdisciplinary studies and skilled trades and apprenticeship. These positions are supported by increased enrollments and contribution margins. Support for increasing our access strategy to vulnerable learners will be made through a full-time manager. This is an area where Mohawk plays a leadership role in our community and province, and this position will allow us to continue to do so. We've created an Applied Research and Innovation in Education Fund, or ARI, to self-fund, so Mohawk will self-fund applied research or research in teaching and learning interests in hopes of increasing our research capacity and making us eligible for more externally funded projects and allowing us to reach the top 10 research colleges in the country. Please attend our Inspiring Minds conference on the 28th to hear more. Also embedded via the program review cycle will be support for implementation of key areas outlined in the academic plan, including e-portfolios and institutional learning outcomes. This presentation is meant to provide you with an overview of some of the new investment strategies. Further details pertaining to your specific program area, I urge you to attend meetings scheduled with your associate deans, and directors, or feel free to contact me directly. I hope that you agree this is a generous investment to the academic area in support of high quality and relevant programs. Thank you. And now I'll introduce you to Wayne Poirier to discuss the investment strategies in the student services area.
Thank you, Christine. I just wanted to start by saying thank you to all of the student services team. I can kind of see some of you out there. Big thank you. It's been an incredible year. Really busy again, but really great things for our students. And I just also wanted to take the opportunity to thank our academic and corporate services partners. None of the work that we do could be taken on independently. It's all about collaboration and about working together in support of our students. This year, we're happy to announce some additional investments in student services. First, there's a modest investment in marketing and recruitment. This is important as we have enrollment targets that are going to be a challenge. This year, the direct student population is declining a little bit, so that means we're going to need to reach out to more non-direct students to encourage them to consider the college option, and we know that Mohawk is a great option. So we will be investing specifically in some non-direct marketing support, and also we'll be looking at renewing our website to make it easier for folks to search and find information pertaining to the college. As part of our continued commitment to access, we will be looking at some improved AODA and support for students with disabilities. And in particular, one that we're very pleased to announce is a new staff member in Accessible Learning Services that will support both the academic area and students with adaptive technology to make sure that they have the supports needed to be successful in their respective programs. We're pleased to announce that the support for the Square's Welcome Information Desk will continue, and we will be looking to improving signage to make sure that folks can find the Welcome and Information Desk and have that nice greeting to the college. We are happy to announce that there will be a new shared position with Corporate Services to coordinate campus communications about important initiatives. You've probably seen over the last little while we've added an important message concerning sexual violence and sexual assault to our website, and we'll be turning our attention to prevention and awareness to make sure that every student that comes into the campus and every community member that experiences the campus has a safe experience. We'll also be looking at other important initiatives on campus such as sustainability, as well as campus safety, to make sure that there's great awareness and promotion of the important services available. And finally, and one of the most important pieces that we continue is year 3 of our Future Ready Processes implementation. This past year, many of you have probably participated in process mapping sessions to look at the future state of our systems and tools to support both our learners and our staff navigate the college. This year, we'll be focusing on a new contact center solution to improve the amount of calls that get through and the direct answers that we have to important inquiries from our students. We'll also be introducing a student communication tool to make it easier for us to communicate with our students throughout the academic cycle. We'll be looking at banner functionality and looking at new ways and new modules that will support our existing modules and improve the online experience for students. And finally, one of the most complicated pieces that we will be looking at over the next year is a new unified registration system to modernize it and to make sure that whether you're an apprentice student, an international student, a domestic student, or a continuing education student, that you have a unified experience for both staff and students. So once again, I want to thank the entire team, and in particular the finance team, for great support as we navigated through this budget process, and I look forward to implementing these important improvements on behalf of our students. And now I'd like to call upon Deborah Brown, our VP Corporate Services, to talk about investments in that area.
Thank you, everyone, and good morning. I'm happy to talk to you about some of the corporate services priorities for the coming year and also some of the investments that we've made for the coming year. I'll start with first-class facilities and sustainability. I've told many people that from the first day that I was ever interviewed by Mohawk, I was so impressed by how clean our buildings are, how lively our spaces are for collaboration, and how vibrant Mohawk is, and I'm thrilled to be here. Over the summer, there's going to be a lot of construction, and I'm always joking to my son, who's going to be coming to the Mohawk summer camp, that if he doesn't want to, do the sports camp, he can always look at all the construction vehicles and everything like that, and get some excitement from his day that way. So I know he's looking forward to this as well. Among the activities that we'll be doing this summer is a new transit hub. I think many of you know that we have an agreement with Metrolinx and the city to create a new transit facility at Mohawk, and that will really help with our green plans as well. We'll also be implementing a new parking strategy. We're still in negotiations, but we're taking a look at ways in which we can improve our parking lots and also make our parking lots a little more eco-friendly. Stony Creek Renewal, along with the help with the MSA, will be working on phase 2 to make further improvements to our Stony Creek campus. At Fennel, the Aboriginal Gathering Space phase 1 will hopefully be kicked off this summer, and that's a great partnership with our Aboriginal Education and Student Services Office, and I think it's a very dynamic and exciting ways to embrace our Aboriginal community at Mohawk. We have 3 audits that we'll be implementing recommendations for. One of them is deferred maintenance, and the other is the AODA audit. And obviously, we'll be working with our partners in student services with that. I'll also be initiating a security audit this summer, and I'll explain a little bit more later. Working with Alan Griffiths and the Green Office, we'll be working on our Environmental Management Plan 2.0 initiatives and outreach. And Troy will also be overseeing a lot of food court improvements this summer as we try to respond to student input and ideas with respect to the food services that we offer. With respect to quality innovations, we'll continue to make informed decisions with the strategic use of data. I think that Mohawk does a great job in terms of looking at enrollment, market, and performance, and taking a look at where we can be in 5, 10, 15 years and the best ways to achieve that. So with respect to our corporate reporting and research group, I think you do a fantastic job, and I think we'll be relying on you more and more as we have tough decisions to make and new ways of thinking about and measuring performance. We'll also be developing a new risk management framework. We've created a new internal audit and risk committee where we're working with our internal auditor, I think most of you know Rose, and also working with our partners in student services and academic and the president's office on what are the risks to the college and what are the best ways to mitigate them. And that's personal interest in, and I think that we can do a lot of great things with that committee. Finally, with respect to quality innovation, we'll have new IT investments to support a new college portal and also software agreements that support online learning opportunities for students, faculty, and staff. Over the next little while, we'll be rolling out Microsoft Academy as well as lynda.com, and those are both 2 platforms in which people, both students, faculty, and staff, can take courses at their leisure at the beginner, intermediate, and advanced levels, either for personal interest or to pursue their own career pursuits. And I think that it'll be a great way for people to learn on their own, but also to explore new ways of doing things and also exploring new opportunities. And wanted to especially thank Christine for suggesting lynda.com, because I know that that's something you've used in the past, and so far we've had some great excitement around it. One of the first things that I heard when I joined Mohawk was that our HR processes are very paper-based, and there was a lot of people who wanted to see some automation, and our HR department fully supports that, and as does our IT department. So this year we will be taking a good look at how to make our HR processes easier for the use of our clients, as well to automate some of our transactional processes so we can focus on some bigger things. We'll also be focusing on organizational and professional development initiatives, and a lot of ideas that we'll get will come from the employment survey that was done in previous years. With respect to our investments, I'll highlight 5 investments that we made as a MEG group. One was for a new building services technician to support the great work that our facilities group does. Our college has grown tremendously over the past several years, and our building services people do a tremendous job in keeping it clean and also very user-friendly. We're hiring a special projects analyst position to help support finance and the great work that Karen's team does in terms of budget, working with both the Board of Governors and the Foundation, and for the various special projects that her group gets called into throughout the year. As I've already stated, the IT solutions to support critical human resources processes will be obtained. We'll also be working very closely with Wayne's group to support the future-ready processes. And finally, campus-wide security audit. This was a great suggestion that was actually given to me by our security team. They pointed out that we haven't had a security audit for a very long time. And as needs change and as interpersonal issues become more complex, I think we need to take a look at how we deliver security, how we brand our security, and what we can do better. So I'm hoping that we'll get all of your support in terms of ideas and suggestions for that. And finally, I just wanted to say personally, it's been a pleasure and a wonderful learning experience to work with Wayne, Christine, and their teams to help develop these priorities. I certainly benefited from their advice and suggestions, and also their experience from working in other institutions. They know what's needed for the college to grow as a whole, and I think that as a team, and that also includes Ron and Hillary and Trish, we've come up with some really good, innovative investment ideas. I also wanted to thank both of our support union and our faculty union, who've never hesitated to help me and to provide suggestions, and I've really learned a lot from them. It's been about 5 months that I've been at the college, so I think I have 1 more month to say that I'm new, and then that's it. And I just wanted to say thank you all for your advice and input during this time, and I'm really pleased with the product that we were able to deliver. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Deborah and Wayne and Christine and Karen, for taking us through the budget. We're going to spend a few minutes. I just want to give you some top-line information from our KPI process, so you can see how we ended up. There will be a more fulsome set of metrics that will be provided through my blog, so that's www.presidentsnotebook.com, and so you'll be able to find it there. But let me just share with you some of the top-line numbers. This is the good news story. So once again, we can market that we're the #1 college in the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area for the 5th year in a row. Student participation in the KPI survey increased by 8.6%, so that's great. And I also think we got great support from the staff who went from classroom to classroom to help administer the surveys. And I just want to thank the staff and the faculty who administered those surveys and did a good job of getting that participation rate up. We also ranked #1 among the GTHA colleges in 4 other areas: graduate employment, satisfaction, quality of services, and facilities. 85.7% of Mohawk most recent graduates found employment within 6 months of graduation. So that's good news, and it is allowed us to rank #1 in that area. Here, as you know, there's 3 different KPI satisfaction surveys. There's the one for students, one for graduates, and one for employers. So you can see in those areas, in terms of overall KPI student satisfaction, graduate satisfaction, and employment rates and employer satisfaction rates, we did very well compared to the provincial average. I think we exceeded it or met it in each of those 4 cases. Graduation rate at 63.7% is slightly below the provincial average of 65.7%. Just a few other fast facts. We received great feedback from current students in a number of areas, so we provide you with the skills and abilities specific to your choice. You can see the score there of 87%. We provide you with skills and abilities helpful for your future life outside of work, 78%. We help you understand your career options, 72%. And quality of field placements, clinical experiences, internships, and co-op work terms at 60% is quite low. But you'll see that's from the student satisfaction. I'm going to show you a number on the next slide from the graduate survey. And then finally, would you recommend Mohawk College to family or friend? 90%, which is an outstanding score. Then on the graduate survey, if you look down to the 5th question, I guess it is, second from the bottom, skills developed in co-op, clinical, field placement, experience, and career placement services, students said 60%, graduates said 82%, above the provincial average, so great scores there. And you can see on the other ones, courses being up to date, equipment up to date, course content, overall quality, very high marks across the board. So that's it. We're going to open it up for questions. There are microphones towards the front of the aisles, and you're welcome to use those. We have about 15 minutes. You can ask anything you want and any subject you want. We'll do our best to answer it. I'll moderate, and so I can just direct the questions to whoever might have the answer. So, who wants to go first? So let's skip the first question because it's the toughest. So let's go straight to the second question. Who wants to ask the second question? We'd love to believe that that was so crystal clear. Is that Sue? Yes. Sue's going to ask the question.
I thought it was great that the KPI response from the students was increased this year. I think there's also have been some suggestions. We do our KPI surveys, we do a hard copy in class. However, for feedback on teaching, for faculty feedback, it's suggested to the students that they go online and do it. And I wonder if there's been any consideration for those surveys the same way we do the KPI surveys, because I know that some of us have seen results, especially around the end of the year when marks are coming out and perhaps the student is upset with a particular professor, that may not adequately reflect the skill level of the professors.
Great, thanks for the question. Samira here to help? Yeah, come on up. Because you're going to help answer some of these questions too on the KPI series. I'm going to ask Wayne to deal with that.
So thanks a lot, Sue. I know we had an opportunity to have that conversation the other day. A little while back, we were looking at it from an efficiency standpoint and trying the online version to try to get online feedback. It's something we haven't reviewed in a little while, so it's probably time. So I'll have an opportunity to brief Christine and talk to our folks in institutional research, and we can take a good look at it and see if there isn't some value at trying to get at least participation up in the feedback on teaching. We know it's an incredibly important tool, and it's one that we use to inform a lot of the work that we do around academic quality. So as Christine's going to be focusing a lot on that this year, it's probably a really good opportunity for us to take that suggestion back as a team and reach out to folks and get some feedback on what's the best way to do that.
Sue, thanks for asking the icebreaker question. So now here we go.
Hi, Ron. I can answer Sue's question. In terms of the student feedback on teaching, that survey is going to be, it can't go online. There were 140,000 students in Ontario that did the survey. So the technology isn't available in some cases. So right now, from the province, the survey will stay as a hard copy.
Great.
Yes.
Thanks for that clarity. That was so crystal clear, there are no questions. Wow. Jim. Sure, thanks very much. So Jim's question was more details on the Welcoming Communities Initiative. So as you know, one of the goals of the college, and Christine mentioned that we want to national student population here, and part of that is it's critical to do as domestic direct from high school numbers go down over the next 5 years. And so what we realized is we need to ensure that international students feel welcome when they come to Hamilton, that we create a welcoming environment both within the college as well as within the city. So we've kicked off what we call Welcoming Communities Initiative. We've invited about 15 leaders from the community to work with us over the course of the coming year to engage in a dialogue, to come up with a number of practical things that we can do. So it's not a theoretical exercise, it's a very practical exercise. We're working with the City of Hamilton and as well as we've got representatives from industry, from McMaster, from other support services within the city as well as within the college. We've kicked off the first meeting, and we will probably have 4 or so meetings throughout the year as we collect these ideas. We're undertaking a survey of our international students to try to understand what would make this college a more welcoming college and what would make the community more welcoming community. So that survey work, which we've engaged an outside party to help us with, is underway now. We will be holding an international conference or a conference on international students and welcoming communities in October, towards the end of October, so you'll hear more about that as well. And if we're successful, we hope over the course of the year we'll generate 8 to 12 real practical ideas of things that we can do, and we'll link this to the work that Hamilton is doing on economic development as well. Thanks for the question. Any other questions? I always hesitate to cut these off too early, because if I do, then usually as I'm walking out, somebody stops me and asks me a question. which would have been for the benefit of everyone. Nothing more? All right, thanks very much. Have a great day.